Good morning, everyone. I'm live. Hey, Christina, how are you? Christina the Grassa? Is that how you say it? Where are you joining me from? I know I've seen you before, I believe. Hello, how are you? Happy Sunday. It's Andreza. Why is your name saying Christina, Andreza? Do you have like a pseudonym? How do you call it? Yeah. Hey, Andresa from London. How are you? Right? You are in London. I'm excited to share this with you today. Let me make sure that it's streaming, that I can share this to the Facebook group, and then we'll get started. Andresa, are you here? What would you like to know today? What would you like to know today? What are you excited to learn today? Oh, Christina is your second name. Ooh. All right. Hoo, 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 hoo. Somehow this is quite confusing. Oh, there you go. Just a second. I'll find just a second. Okay, just your second name. Okay, good. All right, I'm excited. I'm excited to be here. I'm going to share with you today. I'm sharing something that I personally wasn't very much aware of when it came to energy before. Some of these things that I'm going to share, we actually may be taking for granted. Some of the things that I'm going to be sharing today, you may be thinking to yourself, "Oh, I already know that." But at the same time, I'm going to bring a completely different perspective to it. So if you'll bear with me, I'm almost there. All right. All right. Okay, so here I am. So energy and creation, right? Energy and manifestation, energy and health, energy and forgiveness, energy and whatever else, right? So, Andresa, can you share with me, or if you are here live, can you share with me some of the challenges that you feel that you are having in your life right now? And then I can really share my perspective when it comes to energy around that situation. I would like to know, how can I get rid of toxic people or avoid those people? Oh, you jumped right in, didn't you, Andresa? So, how do you feel like you have? Okay, so that's a big question. So, a lot of the times, when we have all these things happening around us, I guess one way that we can look at it is that a lot of the times when it's happening in our environment, it's oftentimes a reflection of something that's happening inside of us, right? Quite often, it's actually an opportunity for us to heal something, some wound that we may still need to heal, especially if um, the people around me, especially if the people around me, their action and their reaction is triggering you, that means that there's something inside of you that needs to be healed, right? I lived in very negative environment. Would you say that negative environment is what you are familiar with, right? So the way that I look at it is that we have to start with ourselves. We have to start with ourselves. And how do we start with ourselves? Is having the ability to really be in that environment, if that's where you are. And step number one, how do I not get triggered, right? What's happening around me that's triggering me so much? What do I believe? What preconceived ideas do I have around particular topics or around particular things that the people around me are doing that is different than my true essence knows, right? Than my true being knows, right? Let's say, for example, can you give me an example of what these people are doing that is very toxic to you, Andresa? Hey, Ben. Hey, Bren. Hello. Nice to have you here. So while you're doing that, Andresa, I'm going to go ahead and talk about the topic of the day. So today I'm going to share with you five things to do to optimize energy in your body for vitality, for manifestation, for creation, for focus, and for all that. So what does that mean? So if you've been around at all for even 5 minutes, 10 minutes, or a day around here, you know that I'm always talking about energy. I'm always talking about if we want to change anything in our lives, we have to change what? Change our energy, right? Even like feeling grounded, for example, feeling grounded and feeling focused is another matter of energy. And to that point, Andresa, feeling focused, right, feeling centered inside of you will help you not be so swayed or so impacted by the environment around you. I hope that makes sense, right? And then you'll have the power to change what needs to be changed. Different perspective in religious faith. Yeah, again, like being centered, being anchored, having your own anchor will give you the strength, will give you the you know the you know the courage to be uh, inside of your own again center without having to think that somebody else needs to agree with me before I'm okay, or that being so worried about whether somebody is going to accept me or not, whether somebody is going to. So when we have our own center, again, that has a lot to do with energy. When you are anchored alone, when you are very grounded inside of you, then we don't seek energy from others. We don't seek so much acceptance from others. Others can do what they want, and you have the ability to follow what your heart tells you to follow. Make sense? All right. So 5 things. 5 things. So today I'm going to share 5 things that must happen within your body to optimize and maximize your energy for vitality, for focus, for creation, for creativity, for inspiration, and all that. These 5 things, some of these things I learned from, actually, a lot of them I learned from my body and brain trainings. I wasn't aware of this until I started my own energy practice and until I started observing my own body and how it acts or reacts when it comes to energy and when it comes to focus. All right, so the first thing is, again, the first 2-3 things you may feel like, oh, okay, that's pretty obvious, but there's a lot more to it than that. The first one is pretty obvious. The first one is eating well, right? Especially in the environment we are now, where so many people have a lot of anxiety, so many people are feeling very shaky in their body, shaky in their minds, shaky energetically. Eating well, when I say eating well, Sometimes it may feel like the obvious one, the obvious ones meaning eating fruits and vegetables and stuff like that. That is pretty uh, clear, right? But in beyond that, the way that I look at it is, for me, I used to not eat enough. Actually, I used to not eat enough. So eating enough fuel to energize my body. But not only that, eating the foods that heat up my body. It doesn't mean that I don't eat food that um, cool the body, but it means that I have to keep my body warm on a regular basis. My body, and especially like if you have the tendency to be in your head a lot, if you have the tendency to have lots of thoughts running through your mind, you have the tendency to have cold gut, for example, cold abdomen or cold energy running through your body. And quite often we may find ourselves, because maybe we want to be on a diet or because we want to follow like food that they say are healthy. Quite often we might find ourselves eating just food that are cooling our bodies down, right? Like, I mean, even like things like lettuce and cucumbers and stuff like that, they are absolutely good. But for me, the way that I look at it is, I not only eat food that is good for my body, health wise, but also I make sure that whatever food I'm eating, that that balances the heat condition in my body. I hope this makes sense, right? I hope this makes sense. Because again, like, from the way that I look at it, and from how I've learned, and from how I have experienced now, optimum energetic condition in your body is to have. Oh, it's Brenda. Hi, Brenda. Warm low abdomen and cool head. Warm low abdomen and cool head. But if we keep only eating, fueling our body with just food that cools off our body, and of course we have to watch ourselves. We have to pay attention to our body to see what's happening. In summer, for example, when it's warm outside, our body will not have the tendency to get cold as much as it would in winter time, right? So that's the first thing that, for me personally, I really had to attend to. I'm not a nutritionist or anything like that, but eating well, fueling the body is one very important thing to really gain energy in our body. That's one way that we fuel our body. That's what, one way that, hi Sherry, how are you? We bring more energy into our body, right? That's one way, right? So eating well. Now, the second one, which for me I was so ignorant about, right? You do intermittent fast often, yes. When you are doing it, even I actually quite often don't eat breakfast either. I've always been that way. Actually, this isn't about intermittent fasting for me. I've always been that way. I remember even as a little girl, as a young girl, like, even from elementary school, pretty much my parents forced me to eat breakfast. But from middle school on, I remember that each time I ate breakfast, it just made me feel very sluggish, right? It made me feel very like heavy. And I remember, like, when I'll eat breakfast in the morning, throughout the day in school, I'll quite often feel sleepy and not completely there. And from then on, I always kept this, like everybody kept saying, breakfast is the most important meal of the day, blah, blah, blah. And like, I kind of was rebellious a little bit. I wouldn't really necessarily eat, even though I'll have parents saying, you need to eat, you need to eat. And then I grew up, I moved to the United States, and still the same song, breakfast is the most important meal of the day. Even nutritionists, a lot of people say, oh, you should be eating breakfast and stuff like that. And I always force myself sometimes. And then at some point I was like, screw this, I'm not going to listen to this anymore. I'm just going to listen to my body. And so for me, eating very early in the morning actually doesn't feel very good. You always should do what feels good for you. We all have different bodies, but for me, even when I'm not eating breakfast in the morning, one thing that I make sure that I do is to keep my body warm. How do I do that? Even something as simple as just having a hot cup of water Just like you'll see me, I'm drinking hot water all the time, right? I'm drinking hot water all the time because what, it keeps my body warm, which is very, very important. Anyway, so that's that for eating well. That's that for eating well. Now, what's the next one that I had no clue about, which is actually super, super, super important? The next one is what? Eliminating well. Eliminating well. I had such a hard time with elimination, going to the bathroom, pooping, right? It's no secret, I've talked about it so many times now. I had such a hard time pooping for a very long time, and I realized how much garbage, how much trash I actually carried in my body for a very, very long time. Even now, I really have to pay attention to my body to make sure that it's eliminating well. Why? Because again, like for me personally, I have the tendency to have a very, very busy mind. Busy mind meaning what? Means what? It gets your lower abdomen cold. It gets your gut cold, which means what? Cold gut means that you will have conditions like indigestion, constipation, and stuff like that, which means that you will have the tendency to keep lots of junk in your gut. To keep lots of junk in your gut, and so tightness in the gut actually it's like a chicken and egg thing, chicken and egg thing. So when we don't eliminate well, then our gut becomes tight, and we get back so much in our mind. Our mind becomes busy, 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 busy still, and then it creates more constipation. It creates more coldness in our gut, and so on and so forth. And so one of my favorite things to do, besides really paying attention to what I like, what kind of food do I eat that keep my gut warm, makes me regular. In addition to that, there's one simple exercise that you can do that actually I would say saved my life so deeply when it comes to constipation. And I realized that even when I become irregular with that, I can feel backed up again. This is so amazing. I can feel backed up again, and then because now I know what to do, I get back to it, and so on and so forth. And some of you who are here, uh, who are here may already know what I'm talking about. Actually, I'll share two things. Andresa said, I used to be food addict, but since I started intermittent, I felt much better and eat one meal a day. Yay, good for you, Andresa. Christy, okay, Sherry says, we need to talk more about pooping. Yes, we need to talk about more. We need to talk more about pooping, or at least we need to make sure that we're pooping well. We need to make sure that we're pooping well. Where was I? And so like two exercises, actually two exercises. One is low abdomen tapping, right? Tapping your low abdomen. What that does is that really presses your intestines. And then if you do low abdomen tapping for a long time, maybe even just 10 minutes, you will feel how your gut starts warming up, right? You can feel that. It's very obvious. You can feel how your gut starts warming up. And also, the other exercise is moving your gut, right? Moving your intestines. Let me see. Moving your intestines in and out. I'll have a link to all these exercises later somewhere in the description so that you can have access to them. All right. So moving your intestines in and out, it will warm up your gut, and then it will help eliminate. It will help really move things along, move things along. So that's another one. The other one that like I swear by all the time is belly button healing. Belly button healing exercise is like I actually particular, I don't know, like I'm always moving that too. I don't have it here. I usually use one particular tool. It's called belly button healing belly button healing wand tool. And so what it does is that you can use it and then stimulate around your belly button. I often will stimulate not only my belly button, but also even like my stomach. I'll use it to stimulate my stomach, and then also my liver and stuff like that. So when there is stagnant energy, when it's very, very like hard, that means there's stagnant energy there. And then just say a simple exercise like just moving, right? Moving and poking with that tool will really release the tension, will really like I've had people like a client who like literally in the middle of it like I have to go. Why? Because just because they heated up the gut, and then all of a sudden things started moving along. Right. So that's the second thing that I want to share is elimination. Right. First thing is eat well. Second thing is um, eliminate well. The third thing is what? Who can guess? Let me see if anybody can guess what the third thing will be. Eat well, eliminate well. Let's see. Come on, play with me, play with me. Can you guess? Can you take a quick guess what I'm going to say next? Right? Okay, so I'm going to say the third one because there's always a delay. And then can you guess after I say like, what are the other two, the last ones that I'm going to share? Okay, so the third thing I'm going to say is what? Move well. Move the body well, right? Because when we move our body well, we can generate energy in our body. What does this mean? This means that have you ever noticed if you stay stagnant somewhere, right? You don't move your body after you get up, you feel very, very stagnant inside of your body. You feel like I've shared this story before, like I was on a podcast recently where I was sharing how like when I was pregnant with my son, my oldest, my very first son. That was my first pregnancy, and so I thought that I needed to not move a lot, and I had this like routine. I'll go to work Monday through Friday, and then Saturday to Sunday. I had this really like thing where like I'll literally sit on the couch and watch Lifetime Movie Network. At the time, that's what it was. And I'll watch it from morning until evening. And the only breaks I'll take will be to go eat something and then come back, or go to the bathroom and come back. But at the end of the day, I always felt more tired. I felt so exhausted all the time. Why? Because not only was my attention, my energy was being leaked through my eyes to consuming that much information, but also my body wasn't moving. My body wasn't moving. So when we move our body, we heat up our body. When we move our body, we warm up our body, and even that even helps with digestion, right? If that opens up even energy circulation in our body, so that we can, feel more vital and stuff like that. Now, the fourth one, who can guess? The fourth one is breathe well. The fourth one is breathe well. This one, oh my God, I feel like 99% of people that I meet do not breathe well. I didn't breathe well for the longest time. Right, I didn't breathe well for the longest time in my life, and on this call, I'm going to share why this is very physiological and how you can change this. If you have conditions like even anxiety, depression, and all these, other conditions, mind conditions that so many of us have, right? I used to be anxious. My whole entire life, I was anxious. I had anxiety. Right? And so you will see that when somebody has anxiety, their breath often will stay up here. Right? Their breath often will be just up here. They can't breathe deep enough into their gut. Right? What does this mean? This means that number one, when you check, you realize that the gut is so tight that it doesn't even allow. It doesn't even allow your breath to go deep enough, right? It doesn't even allow your focus to go deep enough. This is why, because we are always in our mind, right? Being anxious for me meant always worrying about what other people are going to think. Am I doing this right? Am I doing this wrong? Or should I have done these other things either? Or like, should I have done this other thing instead of this other thing, right? Self-judgment. You did it wrong. How dare you? It's like a prison, like a cage in my mind, right? I was caged in my mind. I was really caged in my mind. And I didn't realize that it was as simple as really, hi, Ida. Yeah, it was nice to see you too. It was as simple as really finding relief in my gut, right? And now science has shown it, a lot of things. A lot of people are talking about it. I'm not a scientist. I'm not going to talk about this, like from the perspective of science. I'm going to talk about it from the perspective of my own experience and the experience of everyone else, right? Who I have shared this with and who has really found such big relief from this, right? And again, anxiety, even when we talk about the gut, for example, now it's very well known that a lot of the diseases, like a huge percentage of disease, originates in the gut area. And also, right, even hormones, happy hormones that we produce for clarity of mind and focus and stuff like that, is related to our gut. So when we can heal our gut, or our gut area, we can find clarity. That's how all of the sudden, right? When I did like belly button healing exercise, basically like stimulating around your belly button. Again, I'll leave a link, all these links below later, for you to exercise them or to practice them if you haven't done them yet. All these things, like just simply like stimulating can help, right? For me, when I first started doing belly button healing exercise, I have to be honest, like I was like, oh, why do I need to do this? Even though I trust my teacher like deeply, his trainings have helped me heal so many parts of who I am. And like, but when I first heard it, and I was right there when he was giving the demo of the belly button healing exercise, and after he did the demo, like he did the demo on somebody that had just had an accident and was really like incapacitated in some way, right? He was limping and stuff like that, and then after he did the exercise on him, the guy just got up and was walking as if nothing was ever wrong with him. And I was like, oh, that's all good for him, but I don't have any injury. I don't have anything like that going on with me. So maybe this isn't necessarily one thing that I should be paying attention to so much. I was so wrong. Right, I was so wrong. And so like once I started, like if you, like my teacher, he's very insistent usually, right? When he starts sharing something, he will share it over and over and over and over again, because he probably knows human beings are very stubborn. And so he kept sharing and he kept talking about it and he kept talking about it. And then finally, like I was like, okay, I'm going to start doing this. And I actually, like, this was when this happened. When I saw him doing it on somebody, this was actually in New Zealand. I was in New Zealand and he was in New Zealand. And that's when I experienced this, him doing it on somebody. And then in New Zealand, I started doing it like sporadically. Like I wasn't doing it, like regularly. But even then, I realized how it had an impact on me. Even then, even already in New Zealand, I could feel how my mind started being more present. Right? I could feel, well, of course, there is the whole environment of being in the forest and stuff like that in New Zealand. But then I came back home. And then after I came back home, I was like, okay. And he kept talking about it. He kept talking about it, and I was like, okay, you know what? I'm just going to try this thing. And I started doing it regularly. And when I started doing it, I will do it like almost like I'll do it in the morning. I'll do it at lunchtime, midday, and then I'll do it in the evening. That's all I was doing. Like, and I was doing it for 5 minutes at the time. 5 minutes at the time, morning, midday, and then evening. And then I was so surprised how much of an impact it had on me. I was so surprised how much like my gut started moving, how my mind started calming down, right? How much better I started breathing, right? How much better I started breathing. My breathing started going down, right? And I realized even that's when I realized how deep my anxiety was. Because if I've always, like, if you've always lived like with anxiety, you think that's the norm. You think that everybody lives like that. You think that that's the normal state of being, right? And for me, I felt for my whole entire life, I can trace my anxiety back to even when I was 5 years old. This is how bad it was, I can like, because I was always worried. Oh my God, I'm going to be punished. I'm going to be blah blah blah, right? And now I think about it, and I know, even my mom, for example, has like, even now, right? Even though it's changed a lot, she has so much anxiety, and I realize, oh, this is something that's, it's not just me that's, that has it. It's really information that I have, being really handed to, and stuff like that. But the fact of the matter is, it's very physiological. Through your body, you can heal it. So if you have these kind of things, all I'll say is try and see, right? Try and see. That's the only thing. You don't have anything to lose, except maybe 5 minutes of your day, maybe 10 minutes of your day. You don't know until you try. You don't know until you try. And I'll leave links below for you to experience this yourself. All right. So next one, so that's the one, like, that's the fourth one. Breathe well. Breathe well, right? And the fifth one is really related to also breathing well. It's related to a lot of the things that we just shared, is what accumulate well. Accumulate energy well. Accumulate energy well. This, I had no idea what it is. I had no idea what it was until I started these energy works and energy trainings, right? Why do we need to accumulate energy? Because everything is energy. Every single day of our life, we are utilizing energy. We are spending energy, and we are, like, all that. And also, when I say accumulate energy, you have to accumulate energy in the proper area, right? All of us, most of us, are accumulating energy where? Right here in our head. Why? Because we're consuming so much information all the time, right? Which there's not a lot wrong, but there's not too much wrong with it, right? If we're consuming energy, if we have the ability to process that energy, process that information, and process it out of our body. But most of us just keep it really stagnant in our head. Right? What does this mean? That means that it's also leaking energy from your gut area, right? And that's where we want to accumulate the most energy, because that's the energy for our vitality. That's our magnetic energy also for attracting things that we want to create in our lives. That's our power. That's your power. But most people are so depleted of that energy in the gut, right? That energy, when it's full in the gut, that's when you feel the warmth in your lower abdomen, and naturally your head becomes cool, right? Most of us have the opposite. Most of us have, like, tightness in the shoulders, tightness in the neck, and also most of the time have warm head. Warm head. And so things that we talked about just earlier, even things like lower abdomen tapping, or like moving your gut, or what else did I talk about? Belly button healing. Those are things that can activate uh, like, activate the ability of you accumulating. But then, how do you really accumulate energy? I do way deeper things with people that are in energy immersion circle and stuff like that. But, like, even if I was to share with you one simple thing here, will be focusing on your, this is why I said number 4 and number 5 are so related. Focusing on your lower abdomen breathing, especially even throughout the day, which means that even when my focus is on work, even when my focus is on computer, even when my focus is on something, bringing my mind to feeling the breathing in my lower abdomen. Does it make sense? Feeling the, like, even now, let's practice this, right? Even now, as you are here, if you bring your hands on your lower abdomen, right, below your belly button, and then as you breathe in, feel your lower abdomen expanding. As you breathe out, feel your lower abdomen flattening down. And then breathe in and breathe out. Just keep your mind, your focus on your lower abdomen. And as you keep focusing there, you'll feel how very normally you may feel just maybe like a little bit of stretching in your lower abdomen, or like you'll start feeling maybe like a hint of warmth or heat in your lower abdomen and in your gut. And the more you keep going, the more it expands. And at the same time, you will feel your shoulders becoming more relaxed, your mind more relaxed, your mind clearer. You may even feel your chest becoming lighter. Your whole body, your shoulders dropping down. Then take one last deep breath in and exhale out to your mouth. Can you share with me what you felt? This is very simple and very easy, right? How did you feel? What did you feel when you did this? When you focus, just very simple, right? Very simple. Focus on your breathing in your lower abdomen, right? Can you imagine what happens when throughout your day you make it a point to bring your focus on your breathing in your lower abdomen, right? Even when something that comes up that may throw you off and stuff like that, if you can bring your mind on your breathing, if you can bring your focus on your breathing in your lower abdomen, how do you think, how do you feel? It's going to change things throughout your day, right? How do you imagine it can change things around your day? So for this to help effectively, so like I'm just like we're doing this just for a couple of minutes, I can feel my gut is so hot. Right? My gut has heated up a lot. But if your gut is very tight, if you're very tight in your gut area, then it is so much harder for you to even activate that, for you to breathe deeply into your lower abdomen. Right? But even though that may be the case, right, you can still, with your mind, activate that. You can still feel your lower abdomen heating up and feel it's simple, right? Even though your gut may be tight, you can still feel your lower abdomen rising up and down with your breathing in and out, with your breathing in and out. All right. So that's the last one that I wanted to share with you. What was it? Focus well, focus your energy well. So how do you do this? You do this by even in your daily life, accumulate energy, right? Accumulate energy. That energy accumulated actually will help you with focus, will help you with focus. So like even throughout your day, making it a point and remembering to bring what mind back to your lower abdomen for accumulation, right? For at least activating that. Even when I'm thinking of speaking with somebody, if I'm really noticing my lower abdomen rising up and down, where our mind goes, energy automatically follows, right? It's an energy principle. Where our mind goes, automatically energy follows. And you can recycle your energy like that, as opposed to just leaking energy all the time, and then you are really depleted of the energy that you could be utilizing for manifestation, for focus, for even vitality in your body. And also, the more heat you create in your gut area, the more you increase your immune system, believe it or not. Believe it or not. All right. So those are the 5 things that I wanted to share with you very quickly today. Does anybody have a question before we go? This was very kind of like knowledge base, a lot of talk about. Again, I'll share with you some of the links in the description so that you can practice this for yourself. All right. So it seems like there's no questions for now. Thank you so much for joining me live. I enjoyed spending this time with you. And I hope that you guys, please keep yourselves safe. Please keep yourselves healthy in your body, in your mind. and in your heart. And that also has everything to do with energy. It has everything to do with your energy. The more you can create, like literally, just what I just shared with you, a warm low abdomen, cool head, you'll be more centered, you'll be more focused, you'll be more vital in your body, you'll be more inspired in your life, and so on and so forth. Okay. Okay. Andresa said it's not easy to create good habit, but when your why is bigger than your desire of it, your mindset will change. Absolutely, I agree with that. And one more thing, Andresa, this is something that I have found for myself, is that the more I can feel myself energetically in my body, the easier it is for me to make choices that are good for my body, that are healthy for my body. And the easier it is actually to intuitively know this is something that's going to make my body feel alive, and this is something that's going to make my body feel sluggish, because you can literally, like, as soon as I see certain food, and believe it or not, even certain foods that most what do you call it, professionals, or most what do you call it, people, what's the word I'm looking for most specialists, say like food specialists and stuff like that, certain foods that mostly is commonly known as healthy, sometimes I can look at it and know right away that this food is not healthy for me, right? This food is not going to be good for my body. Certain, like, sometimes it's like certain times, right? It's not always true. Sometimes I can look at the food and say my body will literally tell me, no, that's not the food for you to eat right now. Even though some other people may say, oh, no, that's healthy, you should eat that, you should eat that. If you follow your body, if you feel your body very well, you'll know. Your body will always tell you. The problem is, quite often, we don't want to listen to our body. Or even when we get that nudge, we're like, okay, let me listen to the specialist, to the professional first, right? Let me listen to somebody that's outside of my body. They know best. They know best. That's what we have the tendency to do. But nutritionists, yes, yeah, you got it. Yeah. So I think, yeah, being nutritionists are really good, right? They know their work, they know all that. But I feel like even though we can gain knowledge from them, the best specialist, the best person for your body is you. But if you can't feel it, if you can focus on it, if you can't, like, communicate with your body, then it's harder. And through energy, you can communicate with your body. Through energy, you can feel your body, you can listen to your body, you can hear your body say things to you that you can follow. For me, I have found that the more connected I am with myself energetically, the more I know the naturally I know what to put in my body. Naturally also, I'm repulsed by things that I know my body. And it's no longer about, oh, you should eat this or you shouldn't eat this. It's more about, oh, my body feels like it needs this or it needs that. All right. So that's that. Thank you so much for joining me live. I will see you next time. Have a wonderful day. Stay safe, stay healthy, and take care of yourselves and your families. Bye.